This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes, for your half-assed entertainment news with no bullshit, with our hosts, the Baroness and Bear Fiorda, only on Talk 4 Me.
Hello and welcome to Behind the Scenes. I'm your host, the Baroness, who has got hair all over the side of me and is gesturing for my assistant to come over, even though she's ignoring me because I need the hair taken.
God, what do we pay her for?
Well, usually executive producing options, because she's well past being an assistant now, which is why I keep additional interns.
Oh, okay.
So I'm the Baroness. We are on with my co-host, Bear Fiorda. I'd call him
go.
the baddest bear in the cage, but he's not in the cage. He's here in what looks like a Versace shirt. Is that? And I know that is actually Versace.
It is actually. It is the single nicest shirt I own, bar none. And you know,
I think it's tacky. I think it's tacky. I think it's tacky
right next
as
to
hell.
me, actually. Why is it tacky?
That is the loudest, most Versace shirt that anyone has ever Versace'd. That is like I was
There's
raised.
nothing tacky about this.
I was raised in Desert Hot Springs, and this is my idea of classy.
This is class. This is absolutely class. This is 100%. This is what fighters are wearing. This is what kings are wearing.
No king's wearing that.
I am wearing exactly what I am going to be one day.
An Armenian drug lord?
Why is he Armenian?
Why not?
I'm just saying.
What's wrong with being Armenian?
Why are they drug lords?
Because that's who would wear that Versace shirt.
Is it bad that my first thought is not drug lord, but usually it's got to do with oil?
Yes.
Oh well. I love my shirt. I'm not changing it. Now, beside that, there was an issue we had with I think we were talking about Diddy earlier and how he's apparently on Rico now. They finally got him for that too.
Oh no, they've hit all the markers for Rico. He's definitely going.
But
down.
are they going to charge him for it? Is the thing?
Oh, they already are. That's what he's on trial for.
I thought he was on trial for something separate. And they were trying to prove Rico, but they couldn't get it.
That's why they're trying to prove it, is because he's on trial for that.
Got it. Okay. Well, hey, you know what? If anything, get the guy put away. That's all that matters.
Let me ask you.
I don't know if I want your question. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
All right. Why?
Yes.
Why do you not understand the basics of what's going on with Diddy right now?
Because I don't pay attention to it.
Why?
I hit people for that. I don't care what's going on with it. I care that he gets put away.
Why?
That's my top
If you
concern.
don't know what's going on, why do you care that he gets put away?
Because I know he puts baby oil on people, and that's fucking weird.
You put Vaseline on people.
That's for fighting. He does not baby oil up his escorts and have him fight his girl or whatever. Has it been talked about in the case? Do they have gladiatorial matches in front of him? Is that how he does it?
Violence.
There's definitely violence. Yeah, it's a weird kind of violence. I don't know. Why do I? Saying. It's just not as important to me for what I'm doing. I'm happy to know that he's getting arrested. He got arrested. That he's on trial. I want him to get put away. I don't want him to buy out the judge or whoever. Apparently, he was intimidating the jury, or he was making eye contact with him in a funny way that made him feel a certain way, which I don't know.
I look at it. I look at it this way, and bless you, America. But really, if you're going to step into the world of oligarchs, which is what you have done with these tech billionaires, really step all the way in. Purchase freedom, do the whole thing.
We do.
But that's it. You got to go all the way in and be honest about it. You're essentially Russia these days, or the USSR. And I'd like to remind you, the USSR broke up.
Well, what do we have to? What? First of all, we probably should. Listen. I love the United States, but there's a couple states that we could absolutely do away with. I'd be totally fine with that.
Australia can take Florida. They're just like Australians. We will happily take Florida and Hawaii. Hear me out on this.
Just to take the things on the water, make your life easier.
No, it's not that. It's Australians, and growing up there, I can tell you we have more in common with your Florida man than we do your Californian.
Yeah, both of you attack wild ancient creatures on a regular basis because you're bored.
The point is, we will take Florida and Hawaii.
I watched Australian man run down the bank of a river with a shovel and just bonking out crocodile heads over and over again.
That was to get them off the riverbank.
And then sometimes they would snarl at him and he would just double back and hit him a second time and they'd run away. Like, it's hilarious, but that's,
he's
I
saving crocodile lives.
How is it saving crocodile lives?
So
Put that on a t-shirt,
essentially,
by the way.
so it's saving crocodile lives. So essentially, by getting them off the banks and away from people, they're not going to be hunted. It also puts them back in the river system to make sure that the ecosystem isn't bothered. But more than that, when it's hunting season, you'll find a lot of locals will go bonk them, chase them away from their normal haunts, so they go away during hunting season.
So they aren't getting shot, essentially. But here's the thing: it's hunting season; it's legal. Why not let that happen? Usually, the only reason why we have hunting seasons, right, aside from people enjoying it, is it does do a level of population control.
Absolutely.
So why not let that happen?
Because a lot of people that go after them are poachers.
What is it? Can you really be a poacher if it's hunting season? How much does it cost to get a license?
Oh no, that's not that kind of poacher. I mean, there are certain ones you're not allowed to go after, and everyone does.
Oh, and so they just don't care.
It's not a don't care. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you're not supposed to go after a 20-foot croc because it's been there a minute. Well, guess which croc's going to come after you? So you do end up going after the 20-foot croc.
That's a great story, though. I mean, that's the one you go and tell all your friends and family about. To be honest, you don't go tell them you shot a little caiman.
What's a caiman? Oh, you're talking about those little alligator things.
The little alligators, the dwarf alligators, and the pumas hunt, or not pumas, wild dogs hunt them.
Yes, please remember, I grew up with saltwater crocodiles. The little lizards you guys have don't count.
I think owning a caiman would be great for our household, by the way.
I like my cats alive. Don't
give it to the cat.
I foster children.
Or don't give the cat to it. The caiman...
Let me tell you a story. There was this guy, he was rescuing cats. He was a very nice man. And he'd bring home a cat and he'd put it out and he'd let it, run in the yard. It would be there a few days. And then the coyotes...
Is this going to make me sad?
And then he went to the shelter and he got another one. And this happened 4 or 5 times. And finally the shelter owner asked him and said, what happened? He said, well, I keep, buying these cats, but the coyotes keep eating it. And, the response online was, it sounds like you're feeding shelter cats to coyotes.
Yeah, it does.
That's the problem.
That we feed shelter cats to coyotes?
Yes. Cats should be indoors. They're not native and indigenous to an area.
House cats.
Any cat. Cats are not native to the United States. So they were imported. And because of that, they are not a native creature here.
Are you saying that if the cat was born here in like our household, it would not have an understanding of how to operate within the household? It has to be.
No, I said cats are not native, so they shouldn't be outdoors. They affect the wildlife in the United States. There's a reason outdoor cats are illegal in Australia. You should not have loose cats. You should not have feral cats. They destroy. Literally, the most prolific killer on the planet is a wild cat.
What is it? There's a tiny African cat that has the highest kill rating of any other big cat out there because it's just so good at hunting and keeping itself hidden, like 75% accuracy. But I will say this though, how about this? Let's say they're not native, right? But they lived here hundreds of years already. Could they not have just figured it out?
No, they're still killing the species. And they haven't been here hundreds of years. They've been wild. Look at the West Coast. They've been about 100 years. They've been here wild. And they're killing small bird species. They are the largest eradicator of birds. And by the way, I am saying this, and I do not want people who are huge fans of PETA to take this as an eradication effort on cats. I do not believe in that.
PETA would eradicate all animals if they could help it.
I know. They do. They kill more animals than anybody else.
They kill more animals than anyone else. They'll take your stray dog off your... they'll take your dog off your lot, claiming it's a stray, and then put it down.
That has happened more than once.
Yeah.
Because they believe an animal's better dead than in servitude.
Servitude? It's a fucking dog.
I would like to remind everyone, every time we use bad language, we give money to the Boys and Girls Club of America, the Humane Society of America, and Free MMA. He swears because we care.
Fuck yeah. It's a slave. His name is Charles. He has a onesie. You leave him the fuck alone. He's wearing it right now.
It's not okay.
PETA broke into my house and stole my cat.
PETA is very problematic.
Yes, they are.
Would you get Fiskic, please?
I'm being dramatic.
I'd like to. But that is how they respond to it.
Yeah.
And essentially, they believe that the animal's better dead than released. Than in a human household. Now, let me tell you.
I hear the cat screeching back
my
there.
Cat's awful. I asked her to get it. He is not a friendly boy, but he is not a creature that could survive on his own.
Fuck no, he's not. His name's Fizgig. He's been indoors his entire life, and
that's the least of his
escaped
problems.
Twice First time he hid behind trash cans in our yard. Second time he beat on the door until we let him back inside because he didn't mean to go out.
Now, I'd like you to meet Fizzgig. Come here, baby. I'd like you to meet everyone. He's a flat-faced Persian cat with very
monster.
dirty eyes.
It's a punch-faced cat.
Yeah, he's not. Hang on, he's caught my hair, please.
He's not letting go is what he's not doing.
Now, I'd like to say he is not equipped for living outside. He is an indoor cat. And a cat like that, and that's part of Peter's thing, is cats like that shouldn't be bred.
Right.
We got, Didymus is just the same. We got him from a shelter because somebody tossed him away once he wasn't good for breeding anymore.
Didymus is the second cat that we have.
I have a Jim Henson. I have a Jim Henson thing. We have Fizzgig from the Dark Crystal.
And Sir Didymus,
from the Labyrinth. Because he smelled. That's why he was called Sir Didymus. This one was called Fizzgig because he was a screeching monster.
Does that cat smell sometimes.
He was a screeching monster. The other was called Didymus because he smells, the bog of eternal stench. But essentially, it has more to do with their belief that no animal should be held in servitude. And, I'm not a big meat eater. I'm not. Are you
There's
having
something
a stroke?
in my eye.
I understand.
It's stabbing me right now.
Okay, well, fix it on air so it's interesting for everyone else, or sit still. And stop being difficult.
I wish I had a mirror.
Would you grab him a mirror or a phone, please?
The phone's no, a mirror would work, but maybe I got it.
Okay.
We'll know in a few seconds.
Well, that was dramatic.
It's very dramatic.
You get punched in the face for money, but an eyelash ended you.
But that's way worse than getting punched in the face. You oftentimes don't even feel the punch. You just feel like crush. Sure.
That seemed to get your attention. What was worse, that or the eyelash?
I wish you were anyone else but you right now.
Why is that, darling?
I would slap you back. Put someone else in the chair.
Alexis!
Yeah. Come over here.
She will not come and get slapped.
Yes, in general, where's your fucking hand? In general, yes, getting hit is better than getting an eyelash in your eyeball.
Okay, in general.
Oh my god, in general, yeah. No, if I'm in the mindset for it, you don't feel it a lot of the time. If you're unexpecting of it, it does a little bit more than just feel like pressure. Say something. Change topics.
Why? It's more fun to stare at you. If you ever want to make somebody, here's a trick. Here's a trick for life. If you ever want to make somebody uncomfortable, say nothing and maintain eye contact. If you think someone is lying to you, say nothing and maintain eye contact. If you want to win any argument, say nothing and maintain eye contact. Most people are uncomfortable with it.
You blinked first, I win.
It's not about blinking. It's eye contact.
I don't know what you were doing. I was having a staring contest. How do we get from Diddy to this, quite frankly?
That's also about who blinks first.
I don't get it.
Well,
who blinks first? I don't understand the reference there.
Who blinks first?
Yeah.
Like it's, I'm not going to say that on air. I think we have McDojo Life.
All right. Well, maybe Rob and McDojo Life will understand. Hey, Rob, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going? How's
good.
Life?
She slapped me in the face moments before you dropped in.
Did you have it coming?
Did I?
I can give you a list. I can give you a list on air.
I don't want a list on air, actually.
I mean, you do, because then I can just stare and make eye contact with y'all as you argue.
Mm-hmm. It's perfect. I like that. And that is how we relate it back to Diddy. It just gets weird.
It just gets weird. Oh, he's a lot more than that. Well, anyways, Rob, how you doing, man? I see a lot of your videos, and it feels like you're just kind of completing side quests out there in the world now.
I mean, I'm trying to do as much as I can before I die. Like, I have so much going on. It just kind of depends on the week. Like, I have a bunch coming up that's just so random. I'm going to be participating in something called the Toe Wrestling Championships. If you've ever heard of this?
No.
I need a lot more context.
Sounds like advanced footsies.
It pretty much is. It's like arm wrestling, but you interlock your big toes with your opponent, and then your goal is to try to push their foot to a wall that they have on something called the Toadium. I'm not making that up. That's what they call it. And the Toadium is a foot-shaped board, and it has two walls in the middle of it. And you interlock your big toes in the middle of the wall, and you're trying to push your opponent's foot to touch one of those walls. So I was like, I want to do something new with YouTube, and I kind of get tired of sitting behind the desk. And I'm a martial artist, and it's kind of difficult to show that with the type of content I do. So I was like, let's do something fun. I was like, what if I did 8-week training camps as legitimate as possible? Treat them deadpan serious, but for the stupidest combat sports I could find. And like, so I was like, I looked around the internet and I found this thing. Apparently it's been around for like 50 years or something like that. And it's overseas. So I'm going to be in August of this year, the end of August, I'll be in London participating in the Toe Wrestling Championships. But I'm going to do a full 8-week training camp, training my foot and my toe to be a lethal weapon to compete in this tournament for like 10K.
That is a pervert stream.
I mean, I'm not going to enjoy it.
No, I just mean if you're into feet, that needs to be on ESPN.
Didn't train a day in his life. Rob's just like, give me them toes.
Let me get them feet. Like, you never mind this erection. This erection has nothing to do with sexual stuff. This is just a personal erection. Like,
so what does training for this look like, honestly?
So I loved how they did the show Pet My Ride back in the day. Love Pet My Ride.
I really need the correlation.
We're getting it.
I got you. So when they would take their car in, like they would have I forget the rapper's name. Exhibit would come in and be like, "Oh, your car is messed up. Let's like bring it to my team," and my team all has something dedicated to what they're going to fix. And so I'm going to do the same thing for the training camp. I'm just going to take this like, hey, I got this idea. I'm going to participate in this in 8 weeks. I need you guys to come up with a legitimate like strength conditioning plan. I need you guys to come up with like a technique. I need you guys to give me the whole works and have something with somebody different in charge of each area of my training camp. And then every week I'll go check in back at the doctor, and they'll give me like an update on my health and what's going on. And then just kind of show the progression of the 8-week training camp. And then finally, the last week will be actually participating in whatever the event is.
Damn, that is going to be so
brilliant.
Amazing.
That is brilliant.
When does this start? I want to be there when the first video drops.
Lex, can I pitch this to ESPN? When do I have a call with them? I have a call with them Tuesday. I'm pitching this with you in it to ESPN Tuesday.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Like ultimately just doing it for YouTube was all I really care. I think because there's so many weird combat sports out there. Like they have Pillow Fighting Championship, right?
Oh, that's the best one.
And Pillow Fighting Championship is just so obscure and fun. And I like that it's not so serious. And
it sounds like a porno.
I mean, I guess it could be. I mean, you could jerk off to anything if you really want. I mean, that's not me to judge.
That's valid. That's true. If you have the will.
Yeah, exactly. Just whatever your kink. I'm not shaming. You know, you do you. But yeah, like there's phone booth boxing or chess boxing or car jitsu. So they have all these random obscure fighting combat sports.
I need to know what car jitsu is.
Car jitsu is what it sounds like. So it's they have a car, and inside the car they have two competitors, one in the driver, one in the passenger seat, and they have their seatbelts buckled. And then they say go, and they have a legitimate jiu-jitsu match inside a car, which is a lot harder than it sounds. It's very difficult.
Come from Wolverine and Deadpool?
Who knows where it came from?
And it's been around for a long time. Like the guy who started it, his name's TJ Tilley, and he runs like Pro League Network or something like that. And all he does is just come up with like these random obscure fighting arts. And like another one that he does is kind of like the slap contest, but he does it with each person has to slap each other in the chest until someone gives up.
Okay. I think I've seen that in some Indian cultures, believe it or not. They have
it's an old one.
There's all kinds of strange like combat sports out there. And I just think that why not just like show them, and like even funnier, why not really try to win? Not like half-ass it. Like
really.
And in itself, I think it's just, to me, it's funny to take something so dumb and go, you know what, this is really stupid, but I'm going to be the best at how dumb this is. Like that would be fun.
Oh, you're going to be the single most prepared. Do you know those guys who are just showing up there who maybe they work
wrestling.
Yeah.
Maybe they work a tough job or whatever, and that's enough for them.
You know, the guy that comes in for the toe wrestling is going to be like the prima ballerina, though. Because I can tell you from when I was doing ballet, that gives you the stronger, like you need to track down a ballerina because that will give you the strongest toes. If you can hold, and I can tell you, when I could hold my whole body up on my toes, I would not try it today. That the guys that do that, they don't get on point, but the guys that move around on their toes can literally, there's a technique they have where they're up on their front two toes and they push themselves onto their toes, the front two toes, lift a woman up, and then leap with that woman, land on those two toes, pivot and go down. That's one of the moves from Nutcracker.
Well, so on the toe wrestling thing, I feel like I should bring it up that the guy who was like the champion, he's in all honesty, he's very cool. He's an awesome guy, but he's a large man. He's a big, strong dude. And so he's a 3-time world toe wrestling champion, and he won the London one time. So he's like the guy, the toe wrestling guy.
Yeah.
And so we all have been in talks to try to like, let's show this off. Like, what would this look like on a bigger scale? This is just funny to me. And but he like legit believes in it. He thinks it's great. But it started in pubs. And this guy's name, he goes by Total Destruction. And I guess there was a battle between him and I guess there's a guy named the Tominator. And him and the Tominator have like a rivalry.
The Terminator. Oh my god.
And but the best part is like just like it's just for fun, and I love that shit so much that it's not like so serious. Because combat sports, especially nowadays, everybody's trying to like get in each other's face, and I hate you. You don't hate that person. That person's your paycheck. Like 2 boxers the other day just had a sit down dinner, I do believe, Canelo and someone else, and they have like a big fight coming up. They just they're just hanging out. Like,
You know, I'll say to what you're saying right there at Karate Combat, when I went over there to Dubai to corner Sam Alvey for his double champ fight, and seeing all the pre-interview stuff, like all the pre-fight stuff, they're going through interviews, they tried this podcast thing where they just the owner would talk to the 2 fighters on the side. So immediately, guys are throwing tables at each other, trying to choke each other out. We had a guy who was just speaking in his native language. The other dude didn't understand him, but just assumed he was talking trash. So he stood up and picked up this like ottoman that was right between them to throw it at him in the middle of this interview. So it's pretty prevalent that guys are so serious to either sell a fight or
everyone wants to be Conor McGregor. They look at how well he did and they think that's the way to go, but nobody can be Conor McGregor but Conor McGregor. You've got to be a better version of you. That's why Canelo's doing so well. He's not trying to be anyone but him. He's not trying to be Iron Mike.
There's a lot of cocaine you have to do to get that level, you know, like you have to really put in your time, effort, and energy to just snort as much cocaine as humanly possible. And then you might get to the minor league. But you got to do a lot of blow to be that crazy. I mean, you punch a random guy in a bar because he wouldn't drink your drink, like an old man at that. You're an asshole. You like throw a hand cart through a bus. You hit people in the eye with glass who had nothing to do with whatever your issue was. Yeah, you're an asshole. You rape a woman. What an asshole. Like the list goes on and on. Like at the end of the day, if you're gonna do crazy shit, just understand, like he gets it. I'm sure he doesn't care that people think he's an asshole because he can just wipe his tears with $100 bills, you know. But most people, you have to have a career after your fight because eventually your body's going to stop working. And what are you going to be left with? At least Muhammad Ali was fantastic at being a personality outside of his antics. You know, he was able to throw verbal judo around easier than most people even today. I mean, only other person who I think compares is maybe Chael Sonnen, and Chael Sonnen was smart because he's able to use his verbal judo to make a full career outside of fighting. And I don't think most fighters get it. Like the bus stops somewhere. You have to get off the bus because your body's going to stop working. People are going to stop caring about you. So fighting for most people, you are eventually going to have to pivot. What are you going to do? Like, and if you haven't thought about that at the start of your career, you won't have an end of your career. You'll have to go get a day job. I think that's something most fighters forget. So being a dick, you can get attention that way, but what are you going to do with it? Like now that you have the attention, do you have a redemption story? Like have you changed, turned a new leaf? Did you get worse? Because if you got worse, that's another thing. You can go to rehab just like every other celebrity on the planet, come out of rehab, write a book about it, and, move on with life. Look at Robert Downey Jr. He was doing all the fucking drugs. He goes to rehab. Now everybody fucking loves Robert Downey Jr. But they forget about who he was in like the late 80s, 90s. Everybody hated that fucking dude. And then Iron Man comes out. He gets a redemption story, right? But not everybody gets that. Like most of the time when the bus stops, you don't get number 2 chance. Like you got one shot. Good luck.
He also chose a character that was not overly likable. He wasn't stupid. He didn't go in and audition for Captain America. He's like, oh, this guy sells warheads to bad guys, and he's kind of an asshole the whole time. I got this.
I know this guy.
Yep. And and now he's going and playing Doom. Like it's he knows who he is.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think we are who we are. I think fighters need to learn that. Like they always try to be somebody else. Like the most sellable aspect of anything that you have to offer the world is just be you. Like if you're trying to be someone else, you're missing out on the most profitable thing that you have, which is the fact that you're unique. You're you. Just be you. Who gives a fuck? You're not going to make everybody happy. Nobody, not everybody's like, I just said shit and fuck on the show like twice already. And I'm sure there's somebody immediately, as soon as I threw an expletive, I'm out here like making sure that people are aware that rapists exist in our industry. But as soon as I did that, they're like, oh, I hate this guy. Like, that's just how life is. And so you're not going to make everybody happy by being yourself. And you're going to make even less people happy by being fake. So you might as well just be yourself, and the people who accept you, you don't have to put on a show 24 hours a day. Just be you. And then you can sell the shit out of you because there is no other you. Like no one's going to be another Connor. So all these people trying to be like, you're failing. Like look at what happened with Colby. Yeah. For instance, he created a character. And yes, for a short period of time that got him attention. Right. But now, like, is he really in those elite like he used to be? Is he really competing like he used to? Like, I don't remember the last time he even had a fight, to be honest.
Yeah, no, he's not.
So what does he have left? Like, does he just go back to being himself? Well, then no one recognizes who he is. So he has to basically start all the way over. It's like, just if he would have started as himself, which apparently was a very likable person, then he would have, I think, been way more successful. That's just my opinion. I mean, look at Stephen Wonderboy. Stephen Thompson.
Oh, perfect example.
That's him. That is who he is. He's never put on a show for anybody. He is genuinely that person. Like his dad. I many a time at Karate Combat, and I visited them at Upstate Karate, like at dinner, just talking to his dad. And his dad is like, yeah, man, he's just so nice. Like, I need you to turn off the nice. And like, it's hard for him because he's not that other person. He is Stephen Thompson. And I think that's why he's been marketable. Like you can put him on an ad and people know what they're getting. Same thing with GSP. GSP's just kind of a nice guy. Like that's it. That's who he is. Like that's GSP. And he's marketable that way.
And
go ahead.
I was going to say, I also think it's nice when you see people like Canelo having dinner and these guys going in and acknowledging that this is my job. It's not my job to hate you. I don't want to hurt you to the point that, I injure you out of competing. Like one of the things I know he felt guilty as for was you took a guy out of.
Well, here's the thing, and I think that gets a little.
It's about winning, not killing the other guy. And by making everything level 10 high stakes and trying to sell it that way for so long, everyone's desensitized. So what's getting attention is being nice now.
Well, yeah, it's weird. Like if you look at any of the great juxtapositions, like if you look at Magneto versus Professor X, they don't hate each other at all. As a matter of fact, they're very close friends who have difference of opinion about how to handle
ideology. Yeah.
Right. And so, but they don't hate each other, but they still fight. But it's not because they hate each other. It's because their ideologies, like you said, are different. And in order for them to accomplish their particular goals, they get in each other's way often. But it doesn't mean they hate each other. Like, and so if you look at a lot of like rivalries over the years, look at Mike Tyson and Holyfield, right? Mm-hmm. Mike Tyson and Holyfield now, do they hate each other? Absolutely not. Like
they're in business with Mike's bites, their little ears where there's a bite missing.
Yeah, I mean, like
Holyfield gets some of that.
They don't hate each other. Like they had a moment, and now they're, they had a rivalry. Or look at Florida, Georgia. Do you think those two colleges hate each other? No, because now, especially with football players being able in college to make money off their likeness, they probably love the fact that everyone thinks that this is a rivalry. when they're done with that game, they made so much damn money. If somebody told me, hey, I need you to go to dinner with this person, and yeah, they don't believe in what you believe, and you're probably going to fist fight them at the end of this dinner. And then I sat there, why do I have to spend this entire dinner being mad at this person and pretend when I know at the end of this dinner is a massive payday because they exist? Like, I'm not mad at that. We can have a great dinner. And then afterwards punch each other in the face because that's what we're getting paid to do. And then sit back down and talk about how we punch each other in the face.
You know what? This is exactly what Sam always says all the time. And that is that he doesn't want to fight someone who's like an asshole, doesn't want to fight someone he doesn't like. He'd rather fight his friend. Why don't both of you make money out of this occasion?
He's actually genuinely like him. Like Smiling Sam. He got that because he actually is like just kind of a happy dude. I got to meet him. I sat down with dinner with him and his wife in the Dominican Republic when he was fighting. He might have been fighting for the title. Maybe.
He was not the title in that one. He fought for the title in Vegas and then this last one in Dubai.
Okay, so it was after that.
Yeah. He was defending the title.
Yeah, in Dominican, I sat down with him and his wife. Super nice guy. Like we had never sat down, never spoken a day in our life, and we sat down and just had a conversation like I was his best friend. It was great.
And like, he's wonderful. Cool. His wife won America's Next Top Model, McKee Sullivan.
Also a martial artist, like she trains with him. I think she even's in his corner most of the time.
She does. She's cornered him for every single fight he's ever had, and she was the first female corner in the UFC,
which is pretty dope. Pretty dope. Like great people, and like why can't you do that? Like like most of us, we're just all trying to get paid. Like you don't have to also be a hateful asshole. Like save that for people who are genuinely hateful assholes. There's plenty of them. We don't need people to pretend. It's not the WWE where you have to like, oh, we need a heel. Can you be that guy? Like, no, either you are or you aren't. Like the Ultimate Fighter. One of my favorite scenes from the Ultimate Fighter is when GSP was on the Ultimate Fighter. And the other coach, I don't remember who his opposing coach was, wanted to mess with him a little bit. So they boxed in his car, right? And so GSP looked at it and he just hit the button and it opened up his trunk and he went through the trunk and still got out. Like he wasn't mad. He wasn't upset. He was like, that's funny. He got in his car and left. That was it, and that's one of the reasons that he's a legend. Like
that's a great way to be endearing and kind of digestible to huge populations that watch that. That's just a very human response. That's how we'd get through the day.
Yeah, and what makes more money? What makes more money? A rated X movie, or a rated G movie? If I was going to say this movie is rated X, we're going to put it on the big screen and it's going to play all over the country, but only in theaters, not streaming. Obviously, porn makes a lot of money in streaming, right? But only in theaters. And then here's this G movie right next to it the same weekend. Why does a G movie make more money? It's because it's a larger audience. And so same thing with like a personality. Why does a nicer personality have more longevity? Because it's a bigger audience. More people like genuinely nice people than they do assholes.
I will say, Joe had said, Joe Daddy Stevenson, he said he's been on both sides and genuinely been on both sides. And the reason he said he was on both sides, he said, I was an alcoholic and I was not a nice drunk. He's like, so I can tell you, I've been on both sides. I've been the really nice guy and I've been the guy that everyone's like, oh shit, Joe's here and takes off. He's like, and it's better to be the nice guy. And I know since you've been training with him, he's always kind of been this nice guy. Right. But apparently he did for a while have a reputation for being quite wild.
I mean, it happens. Booze will do that to you.
Yep. Well, that's it. That was one of the things they're looking at. Diego Sanchez, same way.
He's always been a little crazy, what I heard, though.
He's always been weird.
He was very eccentric, like he's always been an eccentric dude. But, hopefully he's in a better place than he has been. I know he went through a rough patch for a while there. So
he's married and his wife's managing him now.
Awesome. That's much better than his previous.
Oh, yeah. That's well.
Yeah.
We don't have to dive too far into that. But I've been
already did that. We did that a while ago.
Yeah.
I had this question in my head from the moment we started this. This whole section came about because we're discussing how guys don't really have an afterthought of what happens when my body breaks down. How did I carry myself throughout my career, and can I parlay this into something else? And I think what happens is people hear this information and think, no, that guy just failed at fighting. I can do this my way and I'll win and I'll be right. And I'll be on top because of it. So why do you think that's so prevalent? And probably in most sports too, where guys either don't have a personality or they take on a persona. Why do you think they still do that even after watching it fail so many times?
I don't know. It's tricky. I think that's probably a case-to-case basis thing. I know that if you look at the UFC currently, at least with the roster and how things are going, the UFC currently is having a hard time producing stars, like people who have it, right? Naturally. You have a lot of Dagestani guys who barely don't speak any English whatsoever. They're complete killers, but they're terrible on the mic. So they don't know how to cut a promo to save their life. But they're murderers in the cage. And I think that shows that it is very important to be good on the mic. But I don't think you have to change who you are to get a little bit of coaching on how to work a microphone. You could be you genuinely, but learn. Like a lot of the guys who did, like, for instance, would go to Khabib. Khabib, Dagestani dude, one of those guys, straight killer, wrestler, fantastic in the ring. But he did take the time to learn that the mic was kind of important. Like him fighting people in the cage, and he would just talk crap in the middle of a fight and say, "You should quit now. I kill you. Why are you still here?" Like, that's hilarious. But that's genuinely him. He could have said that in another language. It would have been easier, but he didn't.
I think the difference now is when you had Dana White involved, he was handpicking and curating these guys. He had a relationship with Sam. He had a relationship with Joe. He had a relationship with Connor. He picked these guys. Now that he's more out of it, it's a lot more corporate. It's a lot more machine. It's very, very different than it used to be. There are fights consistently. They're streaming consistently. And then I know the UFC now has, they're not wanting to sign anyone with, I think, starting less than 50 or 75,000 followers. I know Karate Combat's going the same way. PFL went the same way. Everyone's wanting these people with followers, which is absolutely important. But they're ignoring the fact that, you know, if you get a great fighter and then buy followers, you're not going to get somebody that can do that. And without the cultivation, when Dana was putting it together, when it was coming up and he was having to struggle, he was very careful with who he put in front of the camera because he didn't want it to look like a mess. He didn't want it to look crappy because it already had a bad reputation. So he was combating that. So he was very, very careful about who he put in front of that camera. And I don't think that care's put in.
Is it the TKO group, I think, is who owns the UFC right now? Is that the company?
I believe so, yeah.
This is Endeavor, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, with what seems to be a slight merger between UFC, WWE, like Fight Pass is pulled in, and they've purchased a bunch of smaller organizations.
Yeah,
like
Bellator's gone. The whole it's.
Really right now the hard part is in order for anything to grow, you have to have solid competition. So for instance, no one would care about a champion unless a champion had trials and tribulations along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So why does John Jones become the GOAT? John Jones doesn't become the GOAT because he beat up a bunch of people that no one's ever heard their name, right? Like it just doesn't work. You have to be able to have competition to grow, and that's with anything, even within business. So right now with the UFC and almost like being a little more stagnant, they're stagnant because they don't really have that competition. I mean, they have ONE FC, but right now in the public eye, outside of the fight game, does the average, what people would consider casual, are they aware of these two different things, or are they only aware of the UFC and only care about one? Or I think it's very similar to like, having competing teams like in basketball back in the day. The NBA, you had like a whole bunch of other smaller organizations, or even better, wrestling. Wrestling had all of these different factions and all these organizations and eventually got eaten alive by one. But then you had the wars, right? Like it was NW, not NW, it was WWE versus TNT, I think. Mm-hmm. Like they were having their battle. And at that time, that's when wrestling exploded because both people are trying to one up each other for who's the best. And like, I could do this better. I could do this better. Like you need that. And if you don't have that, why would you ever? You
can artificially create it. Look at Fox and CNN. They're both owned by Disney Corporation. And no slight to Disney, I work for them too. The Fox is owned by Disney. So everyone talks about like ABC and Fox and like all this, the right and the left and blah, blah, blah. They're owned by exactly the same corporation. And that war is manufactured, much like the old rap battles were. Shout out to my sound engineer for that comparison. Much like the old, beefs between rappers were. That's what's being done between news organizations. So why not have the UFC do that? That is what Dan did back in the day. He staged problems. I know Dan Henderson did that with Bisping. He consistently put himself in the news against Bisping. I know Dana White put people in against each other. So do that. Pull a Disney.
I have a story about Dan Henderson. I was talking about this the other day. Like have you ever heard of a thing called SHOT Show?
No.
So SHOT Show is like the gun industry's big event, and it happens every year in January in Las Vegas. And usually around the time SHOT Show happens, they do the MMA awards at the same time. Like we all went to the MMA awards. So while I was out there, actually, when we all went to the MMA awards, I was there for SHOT Show. So around that time, a lot of fighters are in the area. So they get called out to work with SHOT Show, be at someone's booth, go to this event, go to that event, right? So one year, it was probably fucking 8 years ago or something, I'm at SHOT Show. I'm walking around casino to casino, just wandering because it's easy to do in Vegas. And I see a bar and I'm like, I'll get a drink. I walk up to the bar. And as I walk up to the bar, there's a bunch of people singing Margaritaville. And I go to turn and it's Dan Henderson on the mic singing Margaritaville. Yeah. And he's just drunk as shit. And I was hammered. And so I was like, Dan Henderson. He was like, oh my God. So we just started talking, took a little selfie at the bar. So I have that in my old phone somewhere of me and Dan Henderson hammered after he was singing Margaritaville.
I like that.
Like I said earlier, like I said in the beginning of this, you just complete a lot of side quests, man, throughout life.
Yeah.
It's really, but it's so fun to watch and listen to you talk. And, this whole thing, this doesn't feel like an interview. No one's pressing for questions here. There's no dead air. It's genuinely, you're such a very charismatic person. It's very easy to listen to what you have to say. Even if you were totally just filling my head with lies and you're talking to me about how the earth is flat, I would just be like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is. He's never thought about it before like that, Rob. I'd
like to point out all the guys he's hanging out with and having fun with are the guys that scream at you on a constant basis.
I know. Dan is very quiet. Sam has yelled before, but not out of animosity, just out of love for me.
Frustration. The word's frustration. But I like that. And Dan's worse when he's quiet.
Yeah,
you're in more
he
trouble.
Can be for quiet. Sure. He gives you that 1 5-minute round. He can only give 1 5-minute round, but you better believe it's like it used to be for him.
Yes, he's as good once as he ever was. Yeah,
I'm as good once as I ever was. He lives up to that name for sure.
Yeah, you definitely looked like a rag doll.
I love seeing fighters like that. They try real hard to continue a legacy of some kind rather than just fighting and then giving it up and going to something else. Like they genuinely love it. Yeah. You see that with Eric Paulson. Eric Paulson's been around since the dawn of MMA. Before it was called MMA, it was called NHB back then. And he's still out there showing catch wrestling, showing technique, still teaching, still doing his thing. I just think that's cool. I love that we're in like a martial arts renaissance.
Yeah.
Like, you see a lot of these legends,
right?
From like 93 on, a lot of these legends who are still around. Like you can just go train with them. It's very similar to like a renaissance, like with painting and art, like the old school renaissance. It'd be like, oh, Da Vinci? Yeah, he's right up the road. You just like take 2 lefts and a right over here. He's right in that parking lot in the Sam's Club. You're going to go over there. You're going to take Da Vinci's class on Wednesday. And that's kind of where we are right now. Like we have these amazing artists, martial artists, but artists like Eddie Bravo completely revolutionizes no-gi jiu-jitsu, like from the ground up. And who's his instructor? Not somebody who was an asshole who told him you can't do that. You have to do this for me under my name. It was fucking Jean-Jacques. And Jean-Jacques like, yeah, do that. I think that's a great idea, and encourages them. And they're still close today. And that creative outlet, that ability not to be called a traitor, not to be put in his place by his instructor, allows the growth, and it winds up inspiring hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people around the world to do no-gi jiu-jitsu. And then you have people like Dan Inosanto back in the day who was coming up with Bruce Lee and showing Filipino martial arts and spreading that to the world. He's still alive and he's still teaching today. There's just legends all around us in martial arts who are still alive. And I think what's going to happen is when we're old right? And look back, we'll be like, holy fuck, like I was there. I was like in that time, like those people were alive. You could actually go train with them, and it was affordable. Like it wasn't like they were untouchable. And I think a lot of people who aren't taking advantage of that right now are going to regret it in like the next 25 years when those people aren't around anymore.
No, absolutely. And you said it perfectly right now. This is the one industry, this is the one sports, the one entertainment industry where you can walk up to these people. You can walk essentially into their second home and just work with them for hours a day. And it's not weird. It's not uncomfortable. Like you said, it's not outrageously expensive. I'm not paying 10 grand to train with Joe Stevenson, though I'm sure he could charge someone 10 grand for his knowledge and expertise. But instead, I get to train with them on multiple times a day. Dan Henderson, Sam Alvey. I have trained at Extreme Couture with Randy Couture. Like, you get to do such incredible things with these people. And it's not just because of my status or Rob's status. It's because we just walked into the building and signed a piece of paper. That's all it takes nowadays, to be honest with you. Sometimes less.
Sign the waiver.
Sign the waiver.
That's it.
I'm not signing a waiver to get punched in the face by the guys you guys hang out with. You're crazy.
Well, you're missing out. You'll regret it in the next 20 years.
I promise I won't. But if you like martial arts, yes, you would definitely regret it.
Right.
Now, I have to ask you, I know with you, why would you sign up to get punched in the face?
Well, I mean, I think that everybody has their own thing that they enjoy and hobby. I think that we look at it differently. Like, for instance, if someone got a tattoo, I could say, why would you pay someone to stab you with a needle thousands of times? Like, that's one way to put it, right? Or I could say, like, why did you pay somebody to stab you in the ear to get piercings? Like, that's one way to put it. Another way to put it is now you have a piece of jewelry that you enjoy, that you want to show off, and that gives you another way to do that. Everybody, I think, does something in a way that might harm themselves. That's our vice, but it's our outlet. And I think that it's what you get out of it personally that matters, not what other people view. Like, for instance, there are people out there, going back to the tattoo reference, who hate tattoos. They see somebody with a tattoo and they automatically will pass some type of a judgment. But who gives a shit? Like, that is on them. That's not on me.
Right.
Or it's like, if you do a martial arts, like, yes, you do put your hands on each other, but I was out in LA for, like, I don't know, probably a week. And while I was out in LA, I was busy as shit. It was ridiculous. But while I was out there, I was working with a lot of guys who do stunt work, and stunt people don't get punched in the face. Like, they do martial arts and they don't really fight and spar. So it's kind of cool to see, like, the differences in the spices of life in the martial arts industry. Because some people, which is an irony, by the way, it's actually an irony that goes directly to Hollywood, which I think is amazing, because it's like the biggest fuck you can give somebody ever. Like, when I would do sport karate, everybody who did fighting would make fun of the people who did kata. And kata, for anyone who doesn't know, is just kicking and punching in the air, kind of very similar to like a figure skating, just not on ice. Right. And so they would show the technique, punch, kick in the air. And the fighters would make fun of that. All the screaming and the yelling and the theatrics. They were like, that's not martial arts. Right. And then all those fighters, they usually wash out right around your 30s. Right. Your body's not doing the same thing it used to. Now you have to make a decision. And 90% of the people who were fighters just don't fight anymore. The majority of people who do martial arts don't. But fighters usually are the ones that wash out the hardest. Because you beat your body up, you blew out your ACL, you hurt your back, you did this, and now you just can't do it anymore. But kata people, they didn't spend their life getting beaten up. They spent their life trying to make it look good, be famous, right? They're like, we want to go onto the big screen. And so because of that, they didn't beat their bodies up until they got into the career, until they became a stunt guy. Now you're getting beat up, right? But they worked their way hard to get into the career. And all the people who were making fun of them, all the fighters who were pointing fingers and laughing at them, line up to watch the new John Wick. They line up to watch Scott Adkins. They line up to watch the new martial arts movie. And they're paying hand over fist money to the same people they made fun of. And I think that's the ultimate irony in martial arts, is how many people make fun of those people and they don't realize that they're paying hand over fist money to buy that person a house, buy that person a car, buy that person a lunch. And they're doing it every day.
I do want to say with that, shout out to LaFay and the Diamond in the Raw Foundation that works on women in stunt work here in Hollywood. They have a whole awards program. They help women do that. They help everyone into this. So if you can support them, please do. That's just a side note.
It's a
We
solid
work with him all the time.
Yeah.
But speaking of
I
which,
was like,
stunt, that's now something you can win an Oscar for.
yep.
That's
And
incredible.
that was one of the organizations fighting for that because it had been in there for so long. And the stunt work is the most dangerous work on set for sure.
Yeah.
Like really, 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 really dangerous. And I think one of the few people that still do their own stunts is Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And only because he can demand to, because they can't afford to insure the actors to do their own stunts. I can tell you, I don't like when they want to do it because that's more insurance. So don't love that.
It's wild to think that Tom Cruise is in his 60s now, I think.
Yep.
And he's still doing that.
Old man, but doesn't look it.
Still is the last movie star. He's the last one with that that movie star Sparkle, the quiet behind the scenes.
Matthew McConaughey and
they're on social media. They don't have the same oomph. They never made it to where Tom Cruise did. Now, Tom Cruise, despite all of that being said, there was a rule at Paramount that girls were not allowed to deliver his script to him, and it was nothing rapey. It was every time they sent young girls to deliver his script, he was so charismatic, he would invite them over to to the Scientology Center, and they joined Scientology. So Paramount had a rule that girls could not deliver his script. Stop turning them into Scientologists. So yeah, no one was allowed near him. None of us.
Yeah, the Scientology thing is an odd thing to me. Like I deal with a lot of I'm agnostic. Just to get that out of the way, I believe I don't know. Like I believe I don't know shit. Like I'm not going to know until I die, and then I guess I'll be proven right or wrong in my own personal opinions. But I believe that no one knows until we die. That's why the word faith exists. The word faith is based off of not knowing something, but a belief that something is going to come, even if you won't have proof for it. And so Scientology is fascinating because John Travolta was, I don't know if he still is, was a devout Scientologist. Yeah. And there's a Scientology building in Ocala, which is where my mom lives in Florida. And also John Travolta has a house out there. So I don't think that the two things are separate.
No.
But if you look at like the way that it works, it would be the equivalent if you had someone, let's say like Stephen King, just go, you know what? I made all of these books. Fuck it. I'm going to make a religion. And then everybody's like, that makes so much sense. This is legit. This guy clearly knows about Xenu. Like we know what's up. Like, but with like L. Ron Hubbard, he made all of these science fiction books. And then all of a sudden he's like, fuck it, let's do a religion. Like, and people were like, sold. That's the guy.
I love that.
His books sucked out. That's why.
He did. I love on that note, that's where we're closing the show. That's perfect.
Say
so now we've pissed off all Scientologists in the world. Yeah. Guys, if you want to win a free ride at Off-Road Rentals in Palm Springs, California, go follow McDojo Life. Let us know that you did. And the first 3 people to do that, I'm going to give you some free ATV rides. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I was like, well, I forgot to do the shout out earlier. Thank you so much for joining us. I know we always get caught up talking to you. Our audience loves when we have you on. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I always like talking shop.
Absolutely.
Guys, make sure you are following McDojo Life. You can follow the new sports that he's doing. And he also tells you what's safe, what's not, what's real martial arts and what's not. And I swear to God, Bear, if you're going to wear that shirt, sit up straight. Otherwise, it makes you look like you have a belly you don't have. You don't have a belly, but where that thing's curling, it's making you look like you have a belly you don't have. Sit up straight.
Flat.
I'm the Baroness of Ayrshire and Glen Lyons, Summer Helene. We're on with my co-host, the hairiest bear in the cage, Bear Fiorda. And now he's showing hair out of his Versace shirt. Good night.
Good night.
This has been Behind the Scenes with the Baroness and Bear Fiorda. Only on Talk 4 Media.